A military show of force moving closer to the Korean peninsula. The San Diego aircraft carrier making headlines on North Korean TV. And a special delivery in San Diego, the massive show of support for a SoccerCity project in Mission Valley.
Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. We have you loud and clear.
And an American astronaut sets a new record at the International Space Station. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. North Korea has threatened to sink a San Diego-based aircraft carrier. The USS Carl Vinson was recently diverted to the region while en route to Australia.
우리는 미국의 핵 위협으로부터 우리 자신을 지키기 위하여 막강한 해군을.
A statement from North Korea's foreign ministry was read on state TV over the weekend. It said that the country has a powerful nuclear deterrent and would react to total war with an all-out war. Tomorrow is the anniversary of the founding of North Korea's military. The country often marks significant dates by displaying its military capability. South Korean officials say they could test a nuclear weapon or a long-range missile. The county's annual crime rate report shows an uptick in homicides, aggravated assaults, and car thefts for 2016, while violent and property crimes remained low. The report comes from the San Diego Association of Governments. It shows a violent crime rate of 3 for every 1,000 county residents and a property crime rate of 19. Both are the second lowest recorded rates in 37 years. That's when the planning agency started issuing the report. California may be one step closer to resuming executions. State corrections officials face a key deadline on Wednesday. They're expected to submit revised lethal injection rules to state regulators. The California Supreme Court is expected to rule on challenges to a related ballot initiative in August. The voter-approved measure would speed up executions by reducing the time allowed for appeals. San Diego activist Hugo Castro has returned to San Diego and is receiving medical attention for severe injuries he endured in Mexico. The circumstances surrounding his injuries remain unclear. Castro went missing for 5 days after pleading for help on Facebook Live, saying criminal groups were hunting him. He had been on his way to help refugees in southern Mexico on behalf of the nonprofit Border Angels. Major League Soccer supporters turned in more than 100,000 signatures today in an effort to put their redevelopment plan in front of voters. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has the story.
La Jolla-based FS Investors is looking to completely redevelop the Qualcomm Stadium site. That plan calls for the demolition of the existing stadium and the construction of housing, commercial space, a river park, and a new soccer stadium. Nick Stone says delivering the signatures is another important step in the process to land an expansion soccer franchise.
We're going to submit hundreds and hundreds of boxes, 580 some boxes, to the Registrar of Voters and the city clerk for full validation. That should take roughly a month. We are months ahead of schedule. Months ahead of schedule, because the group of fans that exist in the community, the people that love the river park, supported our signature gathering in a record pace.
Now, Stone expects to know in 30 days if there were at least 71,000 valid signatures in those boxes you're looking at now. He says it's critical that San Diego voters get the chance to weigh in on this project in November, because that keeps San Diego in the running for an MLS team. There are some points of contention, however. The proposed soccer stadium would also have to be home for San Diego State University Aztecs football team, and the university is calling for a larger facility than the one being proposed in the SoccerCity development. The university has suggested offering its own development plan for the 166-acre plot of land. And developer Doug Manchester has also expressed an interest in developing the Qualcomm site. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
McClellan-Palomar Airport in Carlsbad is getting ready to relaunch commercial flights to Los Angeles this summer. KPBS North County reporter Allison St. John says San Diego County has spent millions on upgrading Palomar Airport, but the general public has not been able to use it since United pulled out 2 years ago.
An average of more than 300 aircraft land or take off from Palomar every day, but almost all of them are private aircraft or corporate jets. The runway, which is just under 5,000 feet long, is too short for most commercial airlines. There hasn't been a successful commercial airline out of here for 2 years since United pulled out in 2015. Now, even although Great Lakes is going to be flying just 2 or 3 flights a day, this is significant for the airport. I asked the airport manager, Olivier Brackett, why that is.
Well, the importance of commercial flight to the airport is not so much the airport itself, but also the community at large. Give them the option of not having to drive down to Lindbergh Field, fight the traffic driving up to LA, and besides the individual consumer, also help the businesses in the local area more efficiently move their personnel as they need to go to meetings up in the Bay Area for the biotech, out to towards Phoenix and Arizona for the technology companies. It really benefits a wide variety of the whole population.
Many residents who live around here are understandably concerned about the increasing noise. Brackett makes the point that these commercial airplanes are actually quieter than the corporate jets. A couple of commercial airlines have tried to run flights out of here and have not succeeded, but Great Lakes is actually holding a job fair today to hire ground crews and air crews for the flights to LA. At Palomar Airport, Allison St. John, KPBS News.
War heroes should have a free education because they've earned it. That's the premise of a bill sponsored by Representative Scott Peters. The San Diego congressman promoted the legislation at Mesa College today. The bill has passed through the Veterans Committee and would provide full educational benefits to Purple Heart recipients. Currently, full benefits are only available to veterans who complete at least 3 years of active duty service or are medically retired. About 200 people gathered at the state capitol today for the 6th annual Muslim Day. They were advocating for laws they say will protect the rights of vulnerable communities in the state and say lawmakers have the power to protect civil and human rights for all Californians.
We've been really appreciative of California elected officials in recent months and in years prior who have stepped forward and said, we understand the privilege and power that we have, and we want to make sure to use that to protect all communities.
Organizers are asking state lawmakers to push through several pieces of legislation, including one that would keep California from collecting information and keeping a database on religious or ethnic backgrounds. Young people aren't the only ones who drive while talking on their phones. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg says a new survey finds a high percentage of seniors do the same thing.
Researchers at UC San Diego School of Medicine surveyed some 400 drivers aged 65 and older. The vast majority of them have a smartphone. 60% said they use their phone while driving. UC San Diego's Dr. Linda Hill directed the research.
People who thought that they were very good at driving while on the phone were most likely to do it. And I consider that a skewed sense of their abilities because what we know from the data is nobody does a good job of that.
Hill says driving while using a hands-free or a handheld phone is equally dangerous. It increases the risk of crashes fourfold. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
Dow Chemical has teamed up with 2 other pesticide makers to ask the Trump administration to throw out a federal study. Scientists found 3 commonly used pesticides critically threaten more than 1,000 species, but the pesticide companies say the research is flawed. Associated Press reporter Robert Bumstead has the story.
Pesticide maker Dow Chemical is pushing the Trump administration to scrap the findings of federal scientists who say a family of widely used pesticides is harmful to about 1,800 threatened or endangered species. The industry's request comes after EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt announced last month that he was reversing an Obama-era effort to bar the use of Dow's chlorpyrifos pesticide on food. Peer-reviewed studies suggest even tiny levels of exposure to the chemical could hinder hinder child brain development. Letters sent to Pruitt by attorneys for Dow and 2 other companies obtained by the Associated Press say the EPA study is fundamentally flawed and should be set aside. The letter comes as federal regulators are close to issuing findings expected to result in new limits to where highly toxic pesticides can be used. Brett Hartle with the Center for Biological Diversity opposes Dow's effort to discredit the study.
So industry's main complaint is that the data quality doesn't sort of meet an arbitrary high standard that you only get in the laboratory. You can't just take an endangered fish, an endangered salmon, out of the wild, take it to the lab, and then expose it to enough pesticides until it dies to get that sort of data you need. It's wrong morally, it's illegal.
Over the past 4 years, government scientists have compiled an official record showing the 3 pesticides in question pose a risk to nearly every endangered species looked at.
Endangered species are the canary in the coal mine that tell us that something might be wrong. And many of these live in water, so they are an indicator that our water quality is bad. Many of them are sort of early warning signs for bioaccumulation, so we might know if there's a problem for us down the road.
Dow's chlorpyrifos pesticide was originally developed as a nerve gas by Nazi Germany. It's been sprayed on fruits and other crops for decades, and as a result, traces of the chemical have been found in sources of drinking water and, according to one university study, in 87% of umbilical cord blood samples.
Should I give this pen to Andrew? Dow Chemical. I think maybe, right?
When President Donald Trump signed an executive order in February aimed at rolling back government regulations, Dow Chemical CEO Andrew Liveris was by his side. Liveris is a close advisor to Trump, serving as the head of the White House's manufacturing working group. The company also wrote a $1 million check to help underwrite the inaugural festivities. When asked whether Dow's donations were meant to influence policy, Dow's director of public affairs said that any suggestion of that is, quote, completely off the mark, saying in a statement, Dow actively participates in policymaking and political processes, including political contributions to candidates, parties, and causes in compliance with all applicable federal and state laws. Robert Bumstead, Associated Press.
Listen to those career staff.
Weather remains warm across San Diego County, but Regina Miller says we can expect some clouds this week.
Well, taking a look at the situation here across California, we're seeing some showers around Redding, up around Reno as well. We've had some of those showers. Clouds have been around San Francisco. As you head farther to the south, things are pretty quiet. We've had the clouds around. Those will be breaking up as we go through time here. But there is some rough surf, and so we have rip currents right along the beaches. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for. Now, taking a look at your satellite and radar, you can see how we have the clouds around Mount Laguna up to Borrego Springs. And for tonight, we'll start off during the overnight hours, clear skies early, but then we have those increasing clouds moving in once again with an overnight low of 62 in the metro areas. As we head into Ramona, we'll be at 53 degrees with some increasing clouds. Mount Laguna is partly cloudy and 46. Borrego Springs also partly cloudy, and you'll have a temperature of 64 degrees. We will have very breezy conditions for tomorrow here along the coastline as some high pressure settles in. And our temperature will be at 73 degrees, low clouds around in the morning in the coastal locations once again, but then those clouds break for sunshine through the afternoon. On Wednesday, we have a mostly sunny sky with a high temperature of 75 degrees. Thursday, we'll start out with morning low clouds again. Those will break for the afternoon. A high temperature gets to 75. Some sunshine and pleasant on Friday at 76. And then it gets warmer for the start of the weekend. We're at 82 degrees with loads of sunshine. On Tuesday in inland locations, it'll be cool. We'll have low clouds breaking and a temperature of 74, so pretty comfortable. Gets warmer for Wednesday, and we have mostly sunny skies. Low clouds will start the morning on Thursday, but those will break for sunshine in the afternoon. Friday, partly sunny and 79, and we also will see temperatures getting into the 80s and warmer here for Saturday with lots of sunshine. On the mountain locations, we'll have partly sunny skies and 59, so a cool day on Tuesday. Wednesday, mostly sunny and warmer with a high temperature of 68. Thursday, breezy with some sunshine and a high of 69 degrees. Friday, breezy with some sun and 62. And it'll be cool on Saturday, 61 degrees, and it'll be a breezy day as well. On Tuesday, in the desert locations, 87 degrees and partly sunny. On Wednesday, mostly sunny and warm. We jump up into the 90s, 93. Partly sunny and even warmer on Thursday at 95 degrees. And then on Friday, we have partly sunny skies with a temperature of 89 degrees. Plenty of sunshine on Saturday. We'll top out at 85 degrees. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
KPBS media partner inewsource is debuting a new website today dedicated to data, and it's looking for user feedback to make it better. Reporter Brad Racino explains.
At inewsource, we love data because it's the best way to nail down facts for stories you can trust. That's why we've launched another website that pulls together data, maps, photos, videos, text, everything we use to tell stories in one sleek-looking, responsive, and easy-to-use place. It's called the inewsource Data Center, and it's at data.inewsource.org. Now, we're starting small with this adventure. So right now, the center includes 10 of our most popular data sets, including vaccination rates, diversity maps, building complaints, and poverty information. Eventually, though, the site will house dozens, hundreds, and possibly thousands of new and unique data sets that we will combine to uncover hidden trends and possible solutions to some of San Diego's most pressing issues. The page is in beta right now, meaning it's still a work in progress, which is why we need your help. Take a minute to poke around and tell us what you like and what you don't, and then email us at data@inewsource.org. For KPBS media partner inewsource, I'm Brad Racino.
You can find maps, databases, and more at data.inewsource.org. Coming up tonight on the PBS News Hour, after spending 27 years underground and developing various health issues, one former coal miner refuses to go back.
I told my wife, I said, I will flip hamburgers. I'll draw my pension and flip hamburgers if I have to. I'm coming out of the mines.
Plus, former President Barack Obama makes his case for immigration reform in his first public appearance since leaving office. That's tonight on PBS News Hour, starting at 7 right here on KPBS. Thousands of San Diegans took to the streets this weekend in the March for Science. KPBS science reporter David Wagner has this look at the event.
Organizers of the local march say an estimated 15,000 people rallied for science in downtown San Diego on Saturday.
Give it up for San Diego.
Scientists and non-scientists alike carried signs with messages like, "Remember polio? I don't. Science saves lives." UC San Diego postdoc Laura Berner showed up to support science funding. She uses brain imaging to study eating disorders.
If we don't understand what's happening in people's brains that are contributing to those disorders, we're never going to develop better treatments. And if our science is defunded, then that means millions of people are going to be suffering who don't need to be, and we're not going to be able to provide effective treatments for them.
Some local scientists stayed home out of concern that the event could be read as politically partisan. But many San Diego researchers chose to march and express their desire to see public policy shaped by evidence-based science. David Wagner, KPBS News.
Scientists call it a breakthrough discovery at North Carolina State University. In tonight's SciTech Report, producer Frank Graff explains how this discovery could change the way illnesses like asthma and cancer are treated.
Scientific discoveries often require years of methodical, painstaking research involving countless tests, reformations, and retests of hypotheses.
Just media alone. Okay. With the transfection vehicle.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that describes Dr. Ken Adler's work at North Carolina State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. It's how he found out about a medical breakthrough that makes this story unique. His colleagues asked him to look at the lab mice. Something was happening.
I said, well, I think I was doing something at the time. I said, I can't come down to the animal room right now. Why don't you just take a video? Not even thinking, because everyone's got a phone now with a video camera. So he came up and showed this to me. He said, oh, my goodness.
And indeed, Dr. Ki Yin had his phone with him.
Yes, when I saw the animal getting better, I just want to share the good news to everybody. So I make the video simply from this phone. I know it's not professional, but it really, really found the animal getting better.
You have to show somebody.
Yeah, I have to show everybody for that.
You have to understand that just a few days before, those mice were on the brink of death, infected with acute respiratory distress syndrome.
So what we have here is a model of ARDS. We'll call it ARDS now, acute respiratory distress syndrome, in mice. What you do is you inject a substance called lipopolysaccharide into the airways of the mice. This is the most common model in mice. The mice get essentially ARDS. It's about the same amount of mortality. So these are the mice. They're sick. And this is what they look like. They're lying in one part of the cage in their own urine. They're rapid breathing, hair standing up, eyelids droopy, sort of huddled together, not very happy, very sick mice.
Now look at Dr. Yin's video. It was shot after the mice received 2 treatments with a drug Dr. Adler discovered more than a decade ago and has continued researching.
Their eyes are bright, their hair is no longer standing up, all activity, breathing normally, moving around, happy.
You couldn't believe it. These aren't the same mice.
I'm totally blown away by this.
Dr. Adler discovered a peptide, which is basically a compound formed by linking amino acids. Depending on the makeup, peptides regulate all kinds of things in the body, including hormones. This peptide appears to block excessive inflammations. Think of the swelling around an injured leg. We'll let Dr. Adler explain.
So if my hand is a cell, it's sitting on a blood vessel or in a tissue, and the stimulus is over here, so it moves like this. It sends out part of the cell, adheres onto whatever it's moving on, drags the rest of it.
The drug blocks the proteins that allow the cells to move. To be clear, inflammation isn't bad. That rush of cells helps to prevent infection and promote healing.
You want some inflammation. You want some of your inflammatory cells to come to sites of infection, but not this tremendous cascade, which can cause all sorts of problems.
And you need to think of inflammation in a broader sense. Many lung diseases are caused by inflammation. The mucus in bronchitis is an inflammation. That's why the drug powder is suspended in a solution and delivered as a mist that is inhaled using a nebulizer.
This bronchitis caused by smoking, causes all these inflammatory cells to come into the lung. Air pollutants, we breathe in air pollutants, all the inflammatory cells come to the lung. So you want to stop the excess inflammation.
So this discovery could mean new treatments for chronic bronchitis, asthma, and acute respiratory distress syndrome, which results from stresses such as pneumonia or near drowning.
So inflammation in the lung, asthma is considered an inflammatory disease, bronchitis is considered an inflammatory disease.
It is rare that drugs that we get in basic science make it to the point of being a marketable item. And so this is truly special. We've made an impact.
The cell biologist is now investigating if his drug could be used to block cancer metastases, which is the spread of cancer cells between organs. There are currently no drugs to do that.
And to think that this drug really can actually help people save lives is pretty humbling. And I consider myself one of the fortunate scientists who've come to the point where something that I developed in my laboratory can actually be used as a drug to help people. And that's the overriding thought.
Astronaut Peggy Whitson broke a record today for most time spent in space by an American. Whitson is the commander of the International Space Station and has surpassed the old record of 534 days in space. The 57-year-old got a congratulatory call from the president and is apparently ready for the next adventure.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there? Ready to go to Mars up there.
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars. It's going to be a fantastic journey getting there and very exciting times.
Such a big and important.
By the time Whitson returns to Earth in September, she'll have logged 666 days in orbit over 3 flights. The world record is 879 days and is held by a Russian cosmonaut. And you don't want to miss out on this adorable baby monkey at the San Diego Zoo. Meet Chi, a 7-week-old Francois langur monkey. He didn't get along with his birth mom, so primate keepers are stepping in with assist rearing techniques. They're keeping his belly full, his mind entertained with playtime, and nurtured with cuddles and pets. They hope to reintroduce Chi to his langur monkey family when he's older. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, there's a push to require UC and Cal State campuses to offer abortion medication at student health centers. Why the legislation stalled at the state capitol. And on Midday Edition, there's a new biography offering startling revelations about former President Richard Nixon, signs that he could have been considered a moderate in today's political climate. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us and have a great evening.